Hello, welcome back to Film Live. We're at IBC 2015 on the Canon stand to have a look at the just shipping C300 Mark II. And here to tell us a little bit more about it is Paul from Canon. Hi Paul, how you doing?
Hi Ben, nice to see you again.
Good to see you. So Paul has in his hands the literally just off the shelf C300 Mark II. What is the difference between this and the previous generation C300?
There are quite a few major differences to this. I think probably the major one is the fact that we can now do 4K internal recording at up to about 410 megs a second. That's recording to CFast 2 cards. We've also have a new log system, Canon Log 2. This works as well with Canon Log and wide DR settings, and that gives you 15 stops of dynamic range.
So 15 stops, that puts it on par with some of the big cameras out there, the big film cameras, so that's a huge deal for this.
And it's done properly, if you like, as opposed to in processing. The sensor is new, the autofocus system is new and improved over the C300's dual pixel autofocus system.
So on that, I mean, we've got the C100s back in the studio with the DAF autofocus update, which that gives you that little box in the center, and we use it. It's a lifesaver for some of the stuff that we do. It's so fast; it gets shots into focus pretty much instantaneously. But it is just that center portion of the frame, so you do have to. It does change how you shoot or composing shots. But it's a little bit different with this one.
With this one it is. It's 80% of the sensor is covered by the dual pixel autofocus system. You can also select, if you're doing manual focus, using it's quite a complicated thing to explain, but basically you use the dual pixel autofocus technology on a manual focus assist, and you can choose the point of focus anywhere within that 80% sensor area with the joystick. So it gives you really accurate, really fast autofocus. You can also use face autofocus on this, and unlike the C100, you don't have to use the STM lenses. An EFL lens or EF lens or EFS, any of the range will work with face autofocus. That's more contrast based than DAF based, but again the DAF technology helps out with the focus.
And like I said, we're now on CFast cards. I guess that's just the way things have gone. We need the speeds.
It's down to the right speeds because we are looking at such high bit rates when we're recording. The CFast card, though it's reliable and let's face it, an awful lot cheaper than the CFast 2 cards at the moment, they'd reach for this kind of application and this kind of writing speed the limit of their capability. So the move to CFast 2 cards, again, it's one of these formats that is going to become more and more widely used. And more cards will be available, and prices will, I should imagine, come down.
I mean, CFast cards, the prices seem to be changing on a daily basis, and you know, it's still that early adoption at the moment. Until the C300 came out, there wasn't that many cameras that were using it, but we do see that price coming down, and hopefully, you know, this time, or 6 months down the line, or this time next year, there'll be a little bit more, you know, sort of reasonable priced.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree, and I think it's just the way the market's going to work. In exactly the same way, if you remember how much a CF card was when they first came out. I mean, some of those were eye-wateringly expensive, but now, you know, it's a few pound on Amazon.
128 megabytes for hundreds of pounds.
Yeah, exactly.
And this camera is now shipping. Is it getting out into the wilds? Have you heard any feedback from users on this?
Yeah, I mean, we've had a little bit saying, again, it's that people are liking the fact that it's very similar to use to a C300, so that familiarity is there. We've made a few changes in the way that the menu works. There's now a dedicated shoot and assist function part of the menu. So things like the autofocus system are all in there. So it just makes it a little easier to navigate. One thing that's been really well appreciated is the fact that you can now, if you want to, switch the waveform monitor and it's visible in the viewfinder, which it wasn't up until now. Some people do prefer to use it without this. But no, it's the initial feedback is extremely positive.
And you do have an option to use it without the screen.
I mean, in exactly the same way as you could with the C300, you can take this off. We are going to be selling an accessory, well, several accessories, one of which will be an XLR only module for this. Another one will be a bracket that will fix anywhere within this with the right connections. That'll take a 15mm rod, standard 15mm rigged rod. You'll be able to buy longer versions of these cables, for instance. And again, this is all driven by feedback received from original C300 users. Although very happy, made some feedback which we've acted on.
Well, I think, yeah, and the previous generation had those fixed cables that if they did get damaged in any way, it became a bit of a nuisance to get them swapped out. And like you said, listening to that feedback, you've changed just that simple little design change, but makes all the difference to cameras out in the field. So, yep, fantastic camera. Another thing that you mentioned as well is the log settings on there. You can actually match other cameras as well, which I think
look into, we've changed the CP menu quite extensively. So if you're shooting, for instance, with a 5D Mark III, then you'll be able to match the colours quite easily just by choosing the right setting. So that'll be the B camera, and also settings. What we call production camera settings. So it'll match with other manufacturers' cameras as well in a multi-camera shoot.
Great. Okay, shipping now. What kind of price points are we looking at?
Okay, at the moment we're looking euro prices around, list prices around 16,000 euros. Obviously there'll be local variations and then there's tax on that as well, which isn't too dissimilar to the C300 price when it was first released.
But a huge upgrade on the previous camera. Okay, great. Thank you very much, Paul. That sounds great. So there you have it, the Canon C300 Mark II. We're hopefully going to be trying to get one down to the studio soon to have a proper play with and get a bit of an in-depth look on it. But until next time, we're going to head out back to the show floor and see what else we can find out.